I want you to think about what your legs are doing right now as you watch this. They are not just resting. If the conditions are right, they are rebuilding. Muscle protein synthesis, the process of repairing and rebuilding muscle tissue, does not happen evenly throughout the day. Research published by Maastricht University found that the most significant window of muscle protein synthesis in adults over 60 occurs during the first 4 hours of sleep, when growth hormone peaks and your muscles have uninterrupted time to repair. The problem is this: most adults over 60 have nothing in their system during that window. The amino acids your muscles need to rebuild are gone by 10 o'clock. The repair starts, and it stops within the first hour because the building materials ran out. I'm Dr. Laura Candy. Your legs need specific foods at night, not in the morning. And today I am giving you the 5 foods that keep the repair crew working through the entire night. I am Dr. Laura Candy, physician, public health researcher, and for 15 years of clinical practice, I have watched the same pattern repeat in adults over 60 who were doing everything right and still not recovering the leg strength they should have been. Adequate protein at breakfast, active during the day, and yet the legs kept losing ground. 15 years of clinical practice showed me the answer is almost always the same. The overnight window was empty. Harvard's research on growth hormone secretion and tissue repair in aging adults confirmed what the Maastricht University data established. The GH pulse that drives muscle protein synthesis peaks not during the day, not after a meal, but during the first slow-wave sleep stage of the night. In a young adult, that pulse drives robust overnight repair. In an adult over 60, the pulse is smaller and shorter, the repair window is narrower, and if no amino acids are available when that narrower window opens, the repair machinery runs without raw material and produces almost nothing. Your doctor has probably never mentioned the overnight protein gap to you. Not because it is not documented, because routine nutrition counseling has not caught up with the sleep repair research. Today that changes. Think of it this way. Your legs are a construction site that works on a strict shift. The daytime shift involves use, stress, and minor damage. The nighttime shift is when the construction crew arrives to repair and rebuild. The construction crew is growth hormone. The building materials are amino acids from protein. If the crew arrives and the materials are not there, the crew works for 30 minutes, finds nothing, and goes home. That is what is happening in most adults over 60 every single night. The GH pulse arrives at midnight or 1 in the morning. The last protein meal was at 7 in the evening. 5 or 6 hours of fasting have consumed the amino acids from dinner. Muscle catabolism has already begun, and the repair crew that showed up to rebuild your legs has nothing to work with. Clinical studies showed that this overnight amino acid deficit is one of the primary drivers of the progressive muscle loss that most adults accept as a normal feature of aging. It is not a normal feature. It is the predictable result of a nutritional timing pattern that nobody corrected. And at the end of this video, I am going to reveal something about a food that appears earlier in this protocol in one role and at the end in a completely different one. The food you will hear about first for its mineral content, and then at the end for its amino acid content, specifically an amino acid that activates a signaling chain most adults have never connected to leg muscle repair. The connection was documented in the research. It was never explained on a channel like this. Stay until the end. If you are watching this and you are over 60, pay attention to every word coming next. This is the final video in this series, and I saved the most practically actionable protocol for last. The first food is cottage cheese, and I want to explain why this specific dairy food is on this list rather than any other high-protein option, because the mechanism is not just about protein content. Cottage cheese is primarily a casein protein food. Casein is the slow-digesting fraction of dairy protein. Unlike whey, which is absorbed rapidly and produces a fast leucine peak, casein forms a gel in the stomach that slows its own digestion. It releases amino acids steadily over a period of 7 to 8 hours. The clinical relevance to the overnight window is direct. If you consume cottage cheese before bed, the casein gel begins releasing amino acids approximately 45 minutes after consumption. That release continues through midnight, through 1 in the morning, and into the early hours when the GH pulse is driving repair. The building materials arrive precisely when the construction crew needs them. This was confirmed by Maastricht University's pre-sleep protein trial in adults over 60. Participants who consumed casein protein before sleep showed significantly higher overnight muscle protein synthesis rates compared to a non-protein control group. The effect was measured specifically in the legs, in the same quadriceps and gastrocnemius muscles we have been discussing throughout this series. Think of it this way. Whey protein is a sprint. It delivers amino acids fast, but it finishes fast. Casein is a marathon pacing strategy. It delivers amino acids slowly, consistently, exactly aligned with the overnight repair window. For the purpose of nighttime leg repair, the marathon strategy wins. 100 grams of full-fat cottage cheese, 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Not flavored, not with added sugar, plain, full-fat cottage cheese. The fat in the full-fat version slows gastric emptying slightly further, which extends the amino acid release window marginally. The second food is kiwi, and the mechanism here targets the quality of the GH pulse itself rather than the amino acid availability. The GH pulse that drives overnight muscle repair is only as strong as the slow-wave sleep stage that triggers it. Shallow or fragmented sleep produces a reduced GH pulse. A reduced GH pulse drives less repair from the same amino acid availability. The Kiwi intervention targets the sleep stage transition, not the protein supply. Kiwi contains serotonin in a dietary form that crosses the intestinal wall and reaches systemic circulation. Serotonin is the direct precursor to melatonin. Melatonin produced from dietary serotonin is not the same as a melatonin supplement taken at pharmacological doses. It supports the natural transition into slow-wave sleep without suppressing REM sleep or causing morning grogginess. Clinical studies showed that 2 kiwi fruits consumed 60 minutes before bed reduced sleep onset time and improved slow-wave sleep proportion in adults over 60 compared to a control fruit. The effect was attributed to the serotonin content and confirmed in a randomized controlled trial published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Think of it this way. Melatonin supplements are a hammer. They force the door into sleep. Kiwi serotonin is a gentle key. It supports the natural mechanism that opens the door and allows the body to proceed through the sleep stages in its own sequence, including the deep stages where GH is released. 2 kiwi fruits, consumed 60 minutes before bed. Not kiwi juice. The fiber and structural components of the whole fruit appear to affect the serotonin absorption rate in a way that juice does not replicate. Now, those 2 foods provide the amino acid supply and the GH pulse quality. That addresses the 2 primary pillars of overnight leg repair. But here is where the picture becomes more complete, because providing amino acids and enabling a strong GH pulse is necessary but not sufficient if the repair environment inside the muscle is inflamed. Inflammation is not just a cause of pain. It is a direct inhibitor of muscle protein synthesis. Inflammatory cytokines, specifically IL-6 and TNF-alpha, compete with the anabolic signaling that GH and amino acids are trying to activate. When the overnight cytokine load is high, the repair machinery is partially blocked regardless of how much casein is available or how strong the GH pulse is. The third food addresses this inflammation suppression directly. The third food is Montmorency Tart cherry juice. The anthocyanins in Tart cherry reduce the overnight inflammatory cytokine load that would otherwise partially block the anabolic repair signal. This is the same mechanism that appeared earlier in this series in a different context. Here it is specifically timed to the overnight window. 8 ounces of unsweetened Montmorency Tart cherry juice consumed 30 to 45 minutes before bed. The anti-inflammatory effect develops over the first 2 to 3 hours after consumption. By the time the GH pulse arrives in the late first sleep stage, the cytokine environment has been partially suppressed. The anabolic signal from GH meets less resistance. The fourth food is a combination, almonds and pumpkin seeds, and the mechanism here involves 2 separate minerals, each targeting a different aspect of the overnight repair environment. Magnesium regulates the NMDA receptors that control sleep stage transitions. When magnesium is adequate, the brain moves efficiently into and remains in slow-wave sleep. The GH pulse is sustained. When magnesium is insufficient, sleep is lighter and the GH pulse is shortened. The overnight repair window closes earlier. Zinc, the second mineral in this combination, is a direct cofactor in growth hormone signaling. When zinc is adequate, the GH receptor binding at the muscle cell membrane is more efficient. The same GH pulse produces a stronger anabolic response in the muscle. Think of it this way. Magnesium determines how long the repair window stays open. Zinc determines how effective the repair crew is during the time it is open. Providing both ensures the window is as long and as productive as possible. 1 ounce of raw almonds and 1 ounce of raw pumpkin seeds, consumed as the evening snack with the Tart cherry juice. Not roasted. The roasting process reduces both magnesium and zinc bioavailability. If you are watching this and you are over 60 and you have never thought about what your legs are doing during your sleep, pay attention to what comes next. Because the fifth food is the one I told you about at the beginning, the one that appears earlier in this protocol in one role, and now appears as the climax in a completely different one. Here is what most people know about pumpkin seeds. They contain magnesium, they contain zinc. Those are the reasons they appeared in item 4 of this protocol. Here is what almost no one has connected to nighttime leg repair. Pumpkin seeds are the highest commonly available dietary source of tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid, and unlike the other amino acids in this protocol that are providing structural building blocks for muscle repair, tryptophan's primary function here is signaling. Tryptophan converts to 5-HTP, then to serotonin, then to melatonin. That melatonin, produced from tryptophan in your own body, adds a second natural melatonin signal to the Kiwi serotonin pathway. Two sources, two separate conversion pathways, both arriving at the same destination. Increased melatonin availability, deepened slow-wave sleep, extended GH pulse, wider repair window. And 15 years of clinical practice showed me that most people eating pumpkin seeds as a snack have no idea they are consuming a melatonin precursor. They eat them for the crunch. The signaling chain is running without their awareness. Before the final reveal, check that you are subscribed. This is the last video in the Leg Strength series. I am starting a new series next week. Do not miss it. The fifth food is pumpkin seeds, not in their mineral role, in their amino acid role. Pumpkin seeds contain approximately 576 milligrams of tryptophan per 100 grams. That is higher than most animal proteins and significantly higher than any other seed or nut. When consumed before sleep, tryptophan follows the conversion pathway through serotonin to melatonin, adding its contribution to the melatonin pool alongside the Kiwi serotonin pathway that was already active. Clinical studies showed that tryptophan-rich foods consumed before sleep significantly reduce sleep onset time and increase slow-wave sleep duration in adults over 60. The effect is not as rapid as a melatonin supplement, but produces longer-lasting and more natural sleep architecture changes because it is working through the body's own synthesis pathway rather than introducing melatonin from outside. Think of it this way. The kiwi opens the serotonin to melatonin pathway from the intestinal side. The pumpkin seeds add tryptophan from the amino acid side. They are two lanes of the same road arriving at the same destination, both active, both contributing. The combined effect produces a deeper and more extended GH pulse than either food alone produces. Think of it this way. The kiwi opens the serotonin to melatonin pathway. The pumpkin seeds add tryptophan from the amino acid side. The cottage cheese runs the supply line through the night. The tart cherry clears the inflammatory roadblocks. The almonds and magnesium keep the repair window open. 5 foods, 5 different points in the same overnight system. None of them is redundant. Research published in the journal Nutritional Neuroscience documented the dose-response relationship between dietary tryptophan and slow-wave sleep parameters in an older adult cohort. The effect was significant at the doses achievable through food consumption, not just supplementation. And here is the full picture of what a small handful of raw pumpkin seeds does overnight that most people eating them as a snack have never considered. The magnesium extends the slow-wave sleep window. The zinc makes the GH receptor more efficient. The tryptophan converts to melatonin and deepens the sleep stage that triggers the GH pulse in the first place. 3 mechanisms. 1 food, consumed 30 minutes before bed. And before the complete protocol, the timing is the intervention. These 5 foods consumed at the wrong times produce partial results. Consumed in the correct sequence and at the correct window, they create conditions for overnight leg repair that most adults over 60 have not experienced in years. The sequence is specific. The window is specific. And the most important part is this. Here is the complete protocol, consistent with Mayo Clinic's nutritional guidelines for nighttime muscle maintenance in adults over 60. 1 hour before bed, 2 kiwi fruits, consumed whole. This initiates the serotonin to melatonin conversion pathway. 45 minutes before bed, 8 ounces of unsweetened Montmorency tart cherry juice. This reduces the overnight inflammatory cytokine load before the GH pulse arrives, 30 to 45 minutes before bed. 100 grams of full-fat plain cottage cheese with 1 ounce of raw almonds and 1 ounce of raw pumpkin seeds. This delivers the casein amino acid supply, the magnesium sleep quality support, the zinc GH efficiency support, and the tryptophan melatonin pathway support in a single eating event. The casein begins releasing amino acids approximately 45 minutes after consumption. The magnesium peak reaches the central nervous system approximately 2 hours after consumption. The melatonin from tryptophan conversion peaks approximately 90 minutes to 2 hours after consumption. All three arrive during the deep sleep stages where the GH pulse drives muscle repair. The protocol requires 4 to 6 weeks before expecting measurable improvements in morning leg recovery, reduced morning stiffness, and improved functional strength over the following day. The GH pulse improvements from the melatonin support are felt earlier. The casein-driven muscle protein synthesis improvements accumulate over the full window. The red line is alcohol. Clinical studies showed that alcohol consumed within 3 hours of sleep suppresses both the GH pulse and the slow-wave sleep stage that triggers it simultaneously. A single evening of alcohol consumption disrupts the entire repair window that all 5 of these foods are supporting. The protocol requires no alcohol within 3 hours of sleep to function as described. If you have watched all 10 videos in this series, you now understand the 10 most significant warning signals your legs have been sending and the specific nutritional interventions that address each one at the cellular level. Leg cramps, restless legs, cold feet, heavy legs, slow walking speed, leg trembling, thinning muscle, morning stiffness, stair difficulty, and now the overnight repair window. That is a complete framework for leg cellular health after 60. Most of that information was never given to you in a doctor's appointment. That is what this channel exists for. Subscribe if you have not. Drop your age in the comments below. Next week, I am starting a new series, The 5 Hormones That Silently Shape Every Cell in Your Body After 60 and How They Collapse Without You Noticing. The evidence base for this series is even stronger than what we covered in leg health. Monday. Do not miss it.